Hello students, in this video we will study the poem The Dance of the Eunuchs, which has been written by Kamala Das. Kamala Das is a very famous name in modern Indian English poetry. She is basically considered a confessional poet. Now who is confessional poet? A confessional poet is one who writes frankly and openly about his or her personal and private life. Although the present poem, The Dance of the Eunuchs, cannot be totally put into that category, but to some extent and indirectly, this poem too is an expression of the poet's own frustrated, barren love life through the symbol of the eunuchs, through the medium of the eunuchs whose very life is a symbol of infertility, emptiness, and so they have frustration in their life. Now who are eunuchs? The eunuchs, the common word for eunuchs is transgender or third gender, or we can say in common language kinnar. A transgender is the person who does not belong to either sex, who is neither male nor female. So they have been given a separate identity of being third gender. So it is a marginalized community who earns their livelihood by singing and dancing. And in this poem, the poetess describes the dance of the eunuchs, which she closely observes and vividly presents their frustration. So let's begin the poem. It was hot, so hot, before the eunuchs came to dance, wide skirts going round and round, cymbals richly clashing, and anklets jingling, 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 beneath the fiery gulmohar, with long braids flying, dark eyes flashing. They danced and they danced, oh, they danced till they bled. It is a descriptive poem, and the poet Kamala Das here vividly describes the wildness that she observes in the dance of the eunuchs. The first line reads, "It was hot, so hot." Thus, the repetition of the word hot clearly indicates that it was an extremely hot weather when the eunuchs came to dance there. Wide skirts going round and round, and when they began to dance, their wide skirts were going round and round with their dance, cymbals richly clashing, and they were carrying cymbals in their hands, the musical instrument that the eunuchs were madly beating against each other, and it was producing great noise. And anklets jingling, jingling, jingling. They were wearing anklets in their feet, and the anklets were producing the sound of jingling. And where they were dancing beneath the fiery gulmohar, the beautiful but fiery gulmohar tree, which instead of providing shade to them was producing fire for them. So we can say it was an extremely adverse weather for to perform any dance there, and in such harsh weather these eunuchs were dancing wildly with long braids flying, and with their wild dance their long hairs were flying in the air, dark eyes flashing. They were wearing kajal or surmas in their eyes, and their eyes had intense look. They were shining brightly. They danced and they danced. They kept on dancing wildly. Oh, they danced till they bled. And they kept on dancing madly until they began to bleed. Thus, through various images of rapid movement and harsh sounds, the poetess wants to convey that the dance of the eunuchs, which looked like a dance, was actually an expression of pain, frustration and barrenness in their life. Their dance had no grace. They were dancing mechanically just for their livelihood. There were green tattoos on their cheeks, jasmines in their hair. Some were dark and some were almost fair. The poetess here talks about the appearance of the eunuchs. They had got tattoos on their cheeks and jasmines in their hair. Some of them were of dark complexion, but some of them were of fair complexion, having feminine look. Their voices were harsh, their songs melancholy. They sang of lovers dying and or children left unborn. Here the poetess describes their songs. They were singing sad songs in harsh, coarse voice and not melodic voice. The subject of their song was lovers dying and children left unborn. This is a very apt line to show the barrenness and emptiness of their lives, of the lives of the eunuchs. They can neither get married nor they can enjoy parenthood. Some beat their drums, others beat their sorry breasts and wailed and writhed in vacant ecstasy. Some of them were beating their drums, the musical instrument which they were carrying with them, and others were beating their sorry breast as if they were crying, as if they were lamenting for the lovers dying, for the non-existent lovers of them, and for children left unborn, for the children, for their children who can never get birth. So basically they were crying for, they were lamenting for their unproductive life, and wailed and writhed in vacant ecstasy. They were wailing and crying, and they were rolling and twisting their bodies in vacant ecstasy. Ecstasy is the state of great happiness, but here the eunuch says outward display of this happiness in the form of dance was vacant. It was empty. It was only superficial display of happiness. It was not real. Their songs were like a lament on their own life, on their own miserable life, and their dance was only like an uncontrolled movement of body when you are in severe pain. They were thin in limbs and dry like half-burnt logs from funeral pyres. A drought and a rottenness were in each of them. The inner emptiness and dryness of their emotional life is also visible from their outward appearance, and the poetess here says that the eunuchs had gaunt body, they had thin and dry limbs, they had thin and dry hands and legs, and using a simile she compares their bodily structure, their thin bodily structure, with a half burnt log from funeral pyre. They were like half burnt wood taken from or left after cremating a dead. There was a drought in each of them, means they had no hope of rain in their life. There was a rottenness in each of them, means they had stagnant, they had still life, inactive life, which has no meaning, which has no utility in society, and they had no purpose in life. Even the crows were so silent on trees, and the children, wide-eyed, still, all were watching these poor creatures' convulsions. Here the poetess describes the reaction of the spectators there. Every creature around there was watching their frenzieful dance. The crows silently on the trees, and the children with their eyes wide opened, standing still And with surprise, they were all watching these poor, these helpless creatures' convulsions. The poetess here doesn't call their movements a dance. She rather uses the term convulsions, which is a kind of illness. It is a disease when you make uncontrollable movement, uncontrollable violent movement of body. The sky crackled, then thunder came, and lightning and rain, a meager rain that smelt of dust in attics and the urine of lizards and mice. At that very moment, the sky made sounds of crackling, and with thunder and lightning, it began to rain. But it was a meager rain, a very little rain, which was not enough to drench the thirst of burning earth. So we can say that the rain which happened there was not enough. It did not rain heavily, so it did not relieve the eunuchs from their misery, from the harsh hot weather in which they were performing. As we know that rain is the symbol of hope and relief, but it was not so for the eunuchs. It did not rain heavily here. So figuratively it means that even the nature was unable to relieve the eunuchs from their pain and frustration. And due to this is small rain, due to small drops, few drops of rain, one could only smell the dust that was piled up on the storage place below the roof of the houses. And this meager rain rather produced the stinking bad smell of the urine of lizards and mice. The poetess leaves here for us to speculate the endless misery of these poor creatures. So this is the explanation of the poem The Dance of the Eunuchs, written by Kamla Das. Thank you.